have made it to Stu and the Nunn, an online radio show that looks to inform, educate, and hopefully make you laugh. Stu and the Nunn is a show focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our show chat room via our Facebook page and on Twitter. Like to thank those who make this show possible and allow us to bring it to you. Our show sponsors are Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. We would like to thank those who make. That was an applause. That was a
that was pretty solid.
They were, man, the fans are just coming out. I don't know. Am I still hearing cheering somewhere? Is it?
Yeah,
is it yours? Oh, I was like,
I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Anyways, we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. You are here, September 3rd. We are in the 9th month of 2020, and you know what that means. Only 3 more left after this, and we can get out of this year. And welcome to episode 218 of Stu and the Nunn, I think. Got people coming into the chat. John, Rob, Mom, Scott, everyone jumping in. We got the shares going up, the socials happening, and want to thank everyone for joining us. What's up, Toby, my brother from another mother in the Down South studio?
Well, I'm trying to, man, I just got locked out of all my socials for some reason.
Yeah, it may be that new stupid Facebook look and feel that sucks.
I don't know.
Do you like that new the new look?
Well, I'd love to tell you about it, but I'm locked out of all my stuff.
It's been there for like a week or two. It made everyone cut over. I have to go on my phone to get like a look that I just don't like it. I'm not down with it. Anyways, it is what it is. So. They're carrying us. They haven't cut us off yet, so I guess we got to stick with it. But sorry, got cut off. Anyways, welcome everyone. We are in September. It is September 3rd, coming up on a Labor Day weekend. And yeah, no guest tonight. Stu and the Nunn, but again, no shortage of things to talk about. We were trying to work a couple guests beforehand, and man, maybe we'll get a late breaker one in. But a lot of things to talk about. We got a new Medal of Honor coming out, being awarded. We have people getting their hair done when they shouldn't. We got more riots going on, politics, no shortage of, and sadly it probably won't end in November either. Actually, we know it won't end in November. Regardless of what happens, it's going to just get worse. Yeah, all kind of stuff. Sorry about that. All kind of stuff to chat about tonight. Share our opinion on, get your feedback on too. We would like to hear from you on what you guys think going on and what's happening. But Toby, what's happening down there in Tejas? What's the hot news down there?
Well, I mean, today, the hot news in my town is it rained. And
that was good, huh?
That's, and the Lord said it was good. Yeah. There's for your twins. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Boy, the Hodge twins. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've become a big fan of those guys. I've been watching them a lot this week, man.
There's some funny cats, man. There's some funny cats.
A friend of mine told me, like, that's the way you and Toby should do the show. I'm like, that's the way Toby and I do the show when we're together. Like, yeah,
Yeah, it
we
is. It
don't have this
is
delay.
how we exactly how we do the show and everything.
We kind of fill each other. It's
The
almost like we're twins. We fill each other's words in. We step on top of it. We pick up where each other left off. We're usually laughing at each other all the time. It's kind of that way. But those dudes are pretty funny. Yeah. I was watching the
no,
Tesla one today with Steven Crowder. Have you watched the Tesla test drive?
well, he yeah, where he's like, yeah,
Yeah, it's solid.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm back in. I'm back.
Good.
I'm back
Good.
alive.
Yeah, we
I'm
need to
laying
get.
back,
We need to
trying
get. I wonder if we get those guys on. I mean, they only have 10-minute episodes, man. They'd have to be on for a while. But something tells me if we could get them on, they would be. We'd probably be laughing the whole time. They look pretty solid.
No, like they. So you gotta their comedy stuff, like their political stuff, like well, it's all political, but
Right.
the
Fair enough.
they're on stage, their live comedy stuff is pretty solid. You know,
Now I haven't had a chance to watch that yet,
yeah.
but I have to check that out.
But no, other than that, rain and you know a little bit we're turmoil. I live close to the capital of Texas, and you know, like we're starting to see the governor of Texas kind of getting fed up with some of you know the shenanigans of some of the more municipal type politicians. You know, like the defund the police thing. You know, the Austin City Council voted to put a pretty big dent in the Austin PD's budget, and you know, like the governor of Texas is like, don't worry about you know anyone that loses their job. You know, because Austin's cutting it, they're welcome to do an immediate lateral transfer to the state police, and then put out, you know, a bill to stop any kind of increase in property taxes to any area, any county or city that you know votes to defund police. And it's simple economics.
Right.
If you're trying to collect more money from your constituents and your residents to pay for infrastructure, but you're taking money away from your infrastructure, well, then you don't need it. So you don't get it.
Taken,
like,
not given. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I dig that.
Yeah, I saw the hairdresser. Remember, she was a hot topic there a few months ago. The one in Dallas that defied the order, got arrested, and all that. She is now running for state senate. I think it's state senate in Texas or something. But she's running for office.
Yeah.
Getting involved in local politics, right? Make the difference there.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Let's talk about that real fast before we jump into some other stuff. People ask all the time, what can I do to help? You know, be it with, you know, a cause of you know, be it, you know, how can I help the veteran community? How can I help the disabled community? How can I help whatever community they want to help, whatever community that you want to help? If you truly want to help, be engaged in it.
Yeah.
You want to improve your daughter or your child's, you know, situation with athletics and, you know, what they get in terms of equipment and stuff like that. Become a board member of the organization. Be an active member of the booster club. You don't like how your school district is managing shit. You know, they get elections every other year.
That's where it counts, right? I mean,
you know, like put yourself on the school board. You know, to kind of go back to my favorite politician of all time, I think the greatest politician in the history of America, Teddy Roosevelt. You know, like if you're talking about a problem without a solution, well, you're just whining, and nobody likes a whiner, you know. And so, like, I absolutely believe that if you want to make a difference, be the agent of change. And then let's look at it from you know, we'll go from ground level trenches if you want and we'll go up to 15,000 feet to an observation platform before we get to a strategic platform at 30,000. Uh, like if you're going around saying like these systems are systemically racist or they're systemically biased or whatever, uh, become part of the system and be the agent of change. We used to have a saying in the Army, at least the Army that I was in. You know, the best unit that everyone would say that the best unit they were in is the one they just left or the one they're going to, and like I'd always say like, well, then you're the problem in the unit. Like,
Right.
it, yeah, you're the problem in the unit. If you want this to be a good unit, make it a good unit. That's on you. That's not just on the first sergeant. That's not just on the commander. That's not just on your PL, your PSG, your squad leader, whatever, whoever's in your chain of command or concern. Like, what makes the unit good is you. Be good. You be the agent of change. You be the ethically driven. Like Chuck. Can I be a secret agent of change? Yes, you can, Chuck.
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes, that's absolutely can be that.
Man, I wonder what Chuck's doing right now. Like,
I know what he's doing right now.
Zoom,
he's getting it right now. Yes.
Send him that Zoom link, man. Let's
yeah.
Get
we're getting him on. We're
Chuck.
getting.
Let's get old Chuck on here.
Yeah, we're getting Chuck Ziegenfuss from Hero Labradors, one of our nonprofits that we are a big supporter of, and is he's kind of got a few opinions on a few things. So we look to have him on.
Do we need to put a disclaimer out?
Yes.
The views at the end of this film are purely the people, the views of the people.
To my mom, this is Chuck talking. It's not your son. I am not responsible for what comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so we'll look for when Chuck jumps in. I'll have to do a little video stuff here, but we'll get it going.
The other thing, there's a lot of things we'll talk about. Let's talk.
I want to talk about our sponsors real quick, if I could. Enlist 9 Fight Company, Commodity Outdoor Development Group, which is putting out some serious game on the Instas and on the socials, videos, great pictures. Some of you, my friend. And Commodity Outdoor Development Group's get a picture. I don't know who your models are, but you're getting models from all over the place. That we know and don't know. Veteran Outdoors. I am sporting I'm in the VO swag tonight. And boohammer.com, which I still got to fix, and others like Gear for Grunts and others, which I was sporting Gear for Grunts on a first gym picture in a while this morning on our Instagram, sporting my Gear for Grunts shirt. Finally getting back in the gym this week for the first time. So the real gym. So yeah, want to mention them. Thank all of them for their support and helping out and everything else that they do. So from there, I'll let you take it for your next topic there, Toby.
No, like we do have some good sponsors, and one of the things we do like to do is we actually call them sponsors, but a couple of our sponsors are just organizations that we really believe in, and we've taken the time to know who they are and what they are and what they do, and we know firsthand their impact. First and foremost, Veteran Outdoors. We're putting our voice behind Veterans for Child Rescue.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of really big events in terms of what has transpired in the past month in terms of rescuing, high numbers of children that have been absconded. And so like really, really always, putting our support and faith in them, because we're guys and we're whimsical and we love, the culture of the military, and we love the culture, the support of the military. We always, like to throw a shout out to organizations. One of our favorite being Pin Up for Vets. Gina is just always, doing what she can with her troop of volunteers, just to do the simple things of bringing joy to people's lives.
Right.
And, of course, the Lauren F. Bruner Foundation, last off the Arizona, like Lauren on the show before he passed, and brought back his team, Ed McGrath to be on the show. And, it's just, we must honor those that went before us, because like they're a lot harder than us. Let's be honest about that. They endured more than we did. And,
It's not even
it's,
not even comparable. Yeah.
yeah, no, apples to oranges. And it's just really, really neat to be able to say, hey, these are some great guys, great people, great guys, great gals. And of course, like Hero Labradors, we feel the same way about them. And, we get Chuck here coming on, which is totally awesome. Yanking him out of the chat room and putting that Zoom link in his life.
Yeah.
And, it's good because, you gotta getting that video worked out.
I'm working it, dude.
His good arm. We're getting his good arm. We're getting his good hand right now.
Yeah, I'm working it as fast as I can.
Like he's crying. Chuck like waves with the grip, and I'm like, no, wrong hand. So we'll get Chuck on here, but there we go.
I'm working it.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing tech on the fly, brother.
Yeah, tech on the fly, which is something I can't do.
I didn't want to say anything, but I wasn't expecting any criticism.
No, everyone knows that I suck at tech. But welcome to the screen officially. While getting cropped out there is the fearless leader of I don't know, maybe Karen's the fearless leader. But
yeah,
definitely the not pretty face of Hero Labradors, Chuck Ziegenfuss, retired Army officer. And one of the reasons Chuck is endeared to us is one, he was the creator of Valor IT with Soldiers Angels back in the day,
way back in the day,
was just did some really great things for Soldiers. It was a minute. It was a minute. A solid 12 years, I want to say. But has always looked out. He was a guy as a company commander getting injured. Found himself in a medical facility and immediately did what a good commander and what a good leader is supposed to do, and look out for the guys and gals around him. And even though he was, one of the coolest things, and I'll let Chuck kind of explain what it was, but he basically had his hand sewn into his groin. Like he had like the medical Ed Bundy. And
but I gotta
of us are jealous because people see us with our hands down our pants and they're like, what are you doing? Get your hand out of there. And he like doctor's orders.
I heard rumor it wasn't needed. It wasn't needed, and he was like, "Hey, just go ahead and sew that right down there." Just
No, if that was the case, I would have had him sew the hand I could feel.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Hashtag stranger. Yeah. Okay, I was responsible for that one, Mom, but don't Google that. Yeah.
Short leash for Troy tonight.
Yeah.
But
did I mention that tonight's drink of choice is I.W. Harper, a great quality whiskey. If you're looking for one, this is a recommendation right here. Anyways, welcome, Chuck. Good to see you, buddy.
Chuck has done like the wise thing that many people have done, and identified that Texas is the greatest republic in the nation. And upon retirement, and let the record show, like he was injured as a company commander and left as a lieutenant colonel. That's what
major.
Whatever field grade officer. He continued his career, redeployed, after injury. That's what we like to see. That's the spirit. That's the can-do attitude, as many citations would say.
Yes.
That epitomizes what we really like to see. And so got out, found himself in the Great Republic, and is basically running the ultimate of puppy mills. And if you ever search puppies on Facebook, you're probably going to come across the old live feed puppy cam that every 90 days is I have it on one of my computers. On my Big Mac, I just have the little corner box, and there's just puppies laying in a box.
And it's a good day every day.
PVC, and anytime I'm feeling crappy, I'm like, puppies. like the joy that Chuck brings to life. So welcome to the show, Chuck.
Thanks.
Yes. Well,
Speaking of puppies, if all goes well, in about 75, about 75 days, should have another litter on the ground.
wow.
And that would make, well, we're at 58 right now, 58 puppies that have gone to service dog training program.
Right. So to clarify for everyone, when we say puppy mills, we say that in jest. It is, I mean, these puppies are being born and bred and raised for a specific purpose, an honorable purpose. It's not just to have them out there. In fact, a dollar's not made out of them, right? They're not, and they are top notch, top breed labs.
Yeah, it's not a mill. When you think puppy mill, you think somebody that's just cranking out puppies to crank out puppies. And our dogs are DNA screened, medically screened, X-rayed. I take better care of them than I do myself, which is saying a lot. Well, no, it's not. I don't take care of myself at all. I take better care of them than I do my kids. No, that's probably not a good way of.
They're teenagers though. Like they're supposed to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I take better care of them than I do my whiskey collection.
Mm.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement. That's it.
So, we're looking forward to another fall and spring of lots of puppies.
And what do you get on an average? What do you get on average, Chuck? About 9, 10, 12 puppies typically?
Our litters range from 7 to our biggest litter was 12.
I mean, sometimes you lose one, right? Some that they're fighting for.
Sometimes you lose one. Sometimes you lose 2. It happens. You have stillbirths. You have ones that just don't make it past the first couple days.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the beast.
And then these puppies aren't. I mean, they go through. Can you kind of give our viewers and listeners a little bit? They have to go through a testing regimen, right? They have to go through. It's not just like, I got a puppy. They're going out. I mean, they have to meet the grade to be a service animal.
Absolutely. And what we do, I mean, it starts with genetics, but that only takes you so far. So once the puppies are born, I mean, they're constantly being held, they're constantly being touched, manipulated, played with, etc. And that, even with their eyes closed, they're sleeping on us, they're starting to move around on us, on mom, and then once their eyes and ears open and they're actual, they're not just a little potato that lays there. They start getting introduced to new things almost daily, whether it's a new texture, a new sound, a new animal. And all that builds on the dog's inquisitiveness and their willingness to explore, which is all good because they need to have some of that curiosity and some of that fearlessness. But then at 8 weeks, we look at all sorts of things with regards to how well they respond to new situations, whether it's a change in elevation, putting a dog up on a box, or a new sight or sound. I use a remote control car because it makes noise, it moves. How do they respond and react to that? And not just how do they react to it, but how fast do they recover from that new experience? It's not uncommon for a dog, something all of a sudden is in front of it it's never seen before and it's making noise and flashing lights. Not uncommon for that dog to be nervous.
Right.
But how fast does it get over that nervousness is what we're looking for. And then we kind of scale the dogs into which programs they go to from there, whether they'll be a PTSD dog because they're just really calm animals, or whether they'll be a mobility dog because they're on the larger end of the spectrum when it comes to size, and we expect them to be the larger dogs, or whether they're going to a different program for a different reason. And we try and fit the dog to the program at that point.
That's interesting. I didn't know. So depending on their makeup and their size and how they come out, it determines where you may fit them in, right? And where.
Oh, absolutely. You can't really have a mobility dog for a 180-pound veteran who's an amputee that only weighs 60 pounds, fully grown.
Right.
Because that dog isn't really going to be able to help pull that person to a stand or pull a wheelchair or let that person put their weight on them. They need that 70, 80-pound brute of a male dog that can do that kind of work for them.
What do you? What about the dogs that don't make the cut? That don't?
Well, the dogs that don't make the cut, if they go to a program and they fail out of the program for whatever reason, Um, we bring the dogs back here to the ranch, and we start assessing them from the minute they get back. We reintroduce them to the pack and see how they do with them, and we take the dogs and we'll take them out in public and see how they're doing in public and access and things like that. And if the dog is just, and they're usually about a year old at that point, but if the dog is just not um, what I don't think is as recoverable, then that dog will get rehomed as a really, really good pet for a Gold Star family. If the dog,
Nice.
in my opinion, thinks can be recovered, um, go to a different program, different training methodology or philosophy, then I'll send the dog to another program. And so far, of the 3 dogs that we've had fail out of programs, I'm sorry, 4 dogs. Early on, I didn't really have a set routine for this. So the first dog that ever failed out of a program, that dog went and became a DoD bomb dog. So he's still working for veterans one way or another.
Right. Probably wished he wouldn't have failed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the next
damn it,
dog,
recycle.
the next dog went and became a Gold Star family pet in Virginia.
Nice.
And then the next 2 dogs that dropped out of the program, they got reprogrammed, and they're now in a program in Northern Virginia doing great and expect to graduate anytime.
Awesome. I didn't know about the Gold Star fan. That's an interesting. I knew we talked before, and that some didn't make the cut. I was always wondering if you just like found a place to give them as a pet or whatever. But it's awesome that, hey, if they don't make that, at least you try to find a Gold Star family that would love them and take them in.
I mean, Gold Star or Blue Star. It just so happened that one that we got out there went to a Gold Star family.
Well, a while back there, a couple months ago, you were up here in my neck of the woods. We had you at the house and did some little videos there and stuff. I mean, it was there's a lot of jealousy in Western New York when friends and family all saw that, we had all these puppies and all that stuff. And it was just, Toby, you talk about having it up on your screen. Man, it's a whole new level of joy for your day if you just get to just have 5 or 6 puppies just climb all over you and nibble at your feet and everything like that. I mean, it's just, that's why Chuck smiles all the time. I mean, he's the most happy guy I know. I don't ever hear him be upset or anything. I think it's just he has puppies around all the time.
Yeah, it's better than Prozac.
Yeah. So Chuck, why don't you share with the audience, and for everyone that's just tuning in, we're talking with Chuck Ziegenfuss of here at Labradors. It kind of, give us a quick run back on how you got inspired to do this, because this is, this is one of those things, like you're either really into it or you're not. And everyone's into puppies, but no one's into cleaning up 15 sets of shit 5 days a week in your house. So or 5 times a day, 7 days a week in your house. So this is a pretty bold undertaking. So why don't you share your inspiration and what led you to this calling?
Okay. So as you mentioned earlier, I was wounded in 2005. In 2006, my wife got me a puppy, and because quite frankly, I needed to get out of the house and do more than just go to work and come home and sit on the couch and be miserable. My brother-in-law is a professional dog trainer, but he had never trained a service dog before, and he was pretty set on, okay, we're going to train this dog to do service tasks for you. And so that's what we did. I had that dog for 6 years. And when I was deployed later to Afghanistan, while I was deployed, that dog was at home with my family, and he got sick from a liver condition, a congenital condition, and he died. I came home from Afghanistan at the end of that tour, and I had a lot of trouble both finding an organization that could provide a dog, and also the timelines for those organizations were, it's a 2-year wait at most of them, if not longer. So I started over, got another puppy from a really, really good breeder, and I explained to the breeder what I was looking for in terms of temperament and aptitude and size. And I ended up with Halia, who is on the larger end of a female lab, she's a good 70, 75 pounds, depending on how close she gets to the food bowl. Anyway, I retired from the Army and worked for corporate America. Didn't really dig it as much as I thought I would. And when I decided not to do that anymore, I said, you know what? I'm going to raise Labrador retrievers, and I'm going to fill this need that's not being met, which is quality dogs going into programs. They can programs can get shelter dogs. Programs can get dogs that are donated by breeders, and that's where most of them come from. Some of the larger programs have their own in-house breeding, but the breeders that are donating dogs to programs are either dogs that they didn't sell, or dogs that they can't show, or what have you. And getting a dog from a shelter is great, but they have about a 50% washout rate. And a washout is a loss for that training program in terms of time and money spent and resources used and everything else. And like I said, we've had 4 out of a total of 62. Or I'm sorry, a total of 50. Yeah, 62. We've produced 62 dogs. 58 are still in program. So we've had 4 washouts of the dogs that we produce.
That's a better ratio than Ranger School.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't make them do op orders and stuff.
True.
But they do peer each other once in a while. They get old.
They do.
The peer review.
I've got some scars on my hands from breaking up some of those peer reviews too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's a need that needed to be filled, and I was willing to do it.
Interesting story, right? Because you felt it firsthand from that first dog that your wife gave you, and you recognize it. It's funny you mentioned the corporate America. I remember that. You had fun with that, though, even though it probably wasn't your thing.
Oh, I did have fun with it.
But you just, that was where your passion is, right? What do they say? Especially our buddies up north in Letterkenny, right? And it ain't work if you're enjoying it, right? If you're not going to work a day in your life, and even though you deliver these dogs, and that's what people didn't realize. When people probably wonder, what does the money go to for those? Because obviously you're always looking for donations and stuff. But I mean, you got to feed them, you got to get them shots, you got to do all that stuff, and then you have to drive them. You don't put it on this service training because no cost goes to the veteran, right? They don't pay for anything, so you personally drive them everywhere.
Our requirement for an organization to get, our main requirement for an organization to get one of our puppies, is that the recipient is never charged a dime for the dog, is never told they have to fundraise to offset the cost of the dog or anything like that. It's, you get a dog from us, it goes to the veteran absolutely free. Now, if they decide they want to help fundraise or they want to, contribute to the organization that receives the dog, hey, good on them. If they don't want to because they've got a life to live, hey, good on them. And yeah, we covered the cost of everything from getting the bitch pregnant to delivering the puppies to the program. And that includes shots and microchips and transportation and
feeding.
And a lot of people don't realize this. I'm spending probably $250 to $300 a month just feeding the adults.
That's not even counting the puppies.
That's not counting the puppies. That's counting the 7 labs that I've got to produce the puppies.
Yeah, because you're not feeding them crap food. You're feeding them good quality stuff.
Oh, they get extremely good quality food because I don't like picking up poop. If you feed old Roy, you're going to get big old piles of poop in your yard. If you feed a high quality, high protein diet, you're feeding less and they're pooping less. Because I'm the CEO of picking up poop. But if I don't have to, I'm not gonna. And the other thing about these puppies, if for whatever reason they wash out of the program, it still doesn't cost the program anything because I go and pick up the dog. I bring it back. I take, if the dog's going to another program or it's going to a family, I take the dog there too. And, it doesn't cost them anything other than caring for the dog while it's being trained. So it really does help to offset a huge chunk of cost for these programs. Um,
Are you? I'm sure you're not the only one providing these dogs. Do the others provide them free, or do they have to be? I mean, are you unique in the fact that you provide them completely free and shot and microchipped and ready to go and all that kind of stuff?
I don't know that we're unique, but I know that there aren't a whole lot of folks doing it. And a lot of the programs that are purchasing dogs are purchasing them from breeders, from reputable breeders, but they're paying, a significant sum. We just asked for a receipt showing that, they received a dog that was valued at X number of dollars. That's it.
Right. Right.
That's payment in full for us. Is a piece of paper from their charity to our charity.
Right. Now,
And,
are you are you able to get grants? Have you been able to be successful in getting any kind of grants from other nonprofits or foundations or anything to kind of keep this going? Has that been?
no, I'm really good at getting told no by grant foundations, and I understand their reasonings for the most part. If Here's an example, I asked the United Way for a grant. If I was giving dogs directly to veterans, no problem. But I'm a step removed from that. So because it's not direct service, then they can't provide a grant. And that's the issue with a lot of foundations and grants, is that you have to provide a direct result. And that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. And there's no real Kodak moment of, the leash being passed from the trainer to
Right.
the veteran, you know.
Right.
Now there's plenty of Kodak moments with like a van full of puppies being delivered and they're all, running out of the van and everything. But, the A to B to C, I'm A, and it's B and C that get the funding.
Right.
So that's just the nature of the beast. It doesn't stop me from applying, but I've gotten really good at listening to being told no.
And yeah, I'm sure that makes sense. I mean, hopefully you could find ways to get around that, but yeah, and obviously you go off donations, but you're also getting this other kind of, I don't want to call it payment, but I guess reward, right? You're getting feedback. You shared some with us earlier today. You're getting feedback from veterans
right.
that probably feel like their lives are saved or definitely impacted and turned around. And how does that feel? How often do you get that? Or do you ever get to close the loop and find out what one of the puppies you bred and raised, is doing for somebody?
I get it. I don't know how often. I mean, there's not like a set amount. It's I'm either Facebook friends or I follow several veterans that have received dogs from us or from programs that we support, and I hear a lot from the fosters that are raising these puppies, and I follow along with them, and they also work with the trainers and they work with the veterans, and so it means a lot to get that kind of feedback from them, simply because that's why I'm doing it, and to hear that I've made an impact in someone else's life that is the same as the impact that my service dogs have made in my life is kind of a nice thing. That's why I do what I do. And if I'm, it's one of those things, if I can change one life or if I can make one life a little bit better, then I'm going to try.
Yeah. What is your thoughts? I mean, one thing we see a lot of now, I mean, obviously service dogs have been around for a while, but now we hear stories of people trying to get on planes or do stuff where you see people with every kind of emotional animal under the sun, from possums to turkeys to I don't know what else. I mean, and people can go on and buy probably on Amazon or whatever, but a harness for the dog and make it look like it's a service dog. But obviously it probably but there's no way to test or to prove it. I mean, and any thoughts on that? Have you seen people take advantage of the system, or what are your thoughts on these people that try to pass off, I don't know, their pet ferret as a service animal or something? And not saying it isn't, not saying it doesn't help them, but I mean, it's not trained to do anything.
There's the deal with airplanes and buses and trains and things like that is that they fall under the Air Carrier Access Act. I guess it's just airplanes, but the Air Carrier Access Act, which sort of parallels the Americans with Disabilities Act. The difference being the ADA says Dogs, and in some cases, miniature horses, can be service animals, and that's it. The Air Carrier Access Act says, okay, you have service dogs and service horses, but then you can also have emotional support animals that are recognized as pretty much any animal. And some airlines don't care, and they're like, fine, bring them on. And some actually are going to say, no, you can't really have an emotional support goldfish or an emotional support tarantula or turkey or something like that, because it might harm other passengers. Or like the story I read about a guy that had an emotional support pig that decided to shit poop all over
You can say that. That's fine.
the airplane during the flight. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever been to a pig farm, but I'm pretty sure I'd be serving up pork chops at the end of that flight if I was on that plane. And that's if I had to kill that thing with a cocktail fork. And yeah, people are taking advantage of it because they don't want to pay, the $50 to put their animal in a crate and put them under the plane. People are taking advantage, but there's always going to be people that take advantage of any loophole in the system. And to be honest, you could ratchet down on that and make it harder for people to do it. But the people that you're going to make it hardest on are the people that need those services.
The people that need it.
And so you have to take the good with the bad. And if you're one of those people that, takes your emotional support bunny with you on the airplane or buys a harness off of Amazon and pretends that you have a service dog, yeah, I'll probably know it when your dog looks at mine and goes bonkers and mine looks at me like, what's wrong with that dog? And I'll think to myself, wow, what a piece of shit human being. But it won't go any farther than that. Right. Now, to give an example, I went into a pyramid-shaped building in Memphis that is known for selling outdoor equipment.
Yep.
And as I was leaving, there was a guy and his wife standing there with their very large dog, not a normal service dog breed, but it was a large dog. And it was on one of those retractable leashes, which, by the way, if you have one of those, the best thing you can do with that kind of a retractable leash is throw it in the garbage. But this leash was paid all the way out, and they had locked it then, so it had plenty of slack. And as I'm leaving the building, this dog dropped its ball and ran toward my service dog, and not in a friendly let's play way. And you could tell, fur was up, ears were back. Well, in a very, very short span of time, I had my pistol out and was pointing at the dog. And if they would not have realized what was going on and reeled their dog back in, I'd have shot their dog in the middle of that pyramid-shaped building in Memphis.
Well, they get a lot of shootings in Memphis, so I probably wouldn't have got too much.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't have had any heartache over it.
Right.
I'd be sad because I shot the dog when it was the owner's fault.
Yeah.
But, if you're going to fake the funk with a service dog vest because you want to bring your pet with you to the sporting goods store, then you're going to be responsible for what happens if that pet doesn't know how to behave around other animals. And that could have been a very bad situation, but it was quickly resolved when they got control of their animal and I left. But that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of danger that you put your pet in when you throw a vest on them and call them a service dog. Because if I feel that my dog is being attacked, and this is an animal that I depend on to get through my daily life, if I feel that that dog is in danger, I'm going to defend it like I would one of my children. Plain and simple. And I'm not going to have any remorse for doing it. And I know that a lot of people that have service dogs that depend on them to live and to function, to get through their day, feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
You need to be such a downer, but
No, like I know exactly what you're saying and thinking. And my dog wasn't a service dog, and I was just too late and unarmed, and so like I know exactly how you feel. Hey, I want to circle back real fast. We're gonna transition to some current events here, but I want to circle back real fast because you said something that I really like, and I kind of just want to drill down on it real fast. One of the great things about Hero Labradors is the way that you vet the organizations that you support. And I really kind of want to go to one bullet point, and that one bullet point is you don't support organizations that ask veterans to fundraise for them. And I really liked how you put that, and I appreciated the if they want to, awesome. But too often, we see these organizations pop up. Some have been established for a short period of time in the grand scheme of things. But too often, we see these organizations that have a business plan that's based on exploiting the person that they're allegedly servicing. And I just wanted to kind of go back and say, hey, man, that like a lot of people might not have captured that or understood what you were saying there, but that it is so important, like to know that the organization, their heart is in the right place, that they're there to truly help and service the demographic that they're there to do that. They're like actually adhering to their mission, and they're in it for the altruistic purpose of helping that person versus exploiting them. And too often, I mean, like, I get tired of watching news channels, and you can randomly pick one where they got that person out saying, if I didn't have this organization to help me, I would be this. We see it with houses, we see it with and it just what they're doing, and they're just exploiting that person, and the benefit that that person received doesn't equate to the amount of money that they raised off that person's experience. And it always kind of bothers me, and I'm glad that you do that, and I just wanted to kind of draw attention to that. So
Well, yeah,
thank you for
like I said, though, if that person wants to come forward and say, hey,
yeah, that's
I
different.
want to make an ad because you helped me, I know it'll help you guys raise more money, that's fine. I don't
That's
particularly
different.
like those really big organizations that say that they are going to help wounded. I don't want to say their name.
Service members.
Wounded service member projects that will pay $800,000.
You can say the name, like
guy in a cowboy hat to say you should support the Wounded Service Member Project. Literally $800,000 to make a commercial. Well, how many $20 donations from mom and pop is that to pay for him to make a commercial? If I could get Sarah McClanahan, the one that's always singing the slow song.
McLaughlin, yes.
Sarah McLaughlin.
That one, yeah. If I get her, I mean, I could make some really slow videos of our puppies, and they would look absolutely pathetic. And maybe that's the key, and I just use that as background music. But
she's a Canadian treasure.
Yes. I didn't want to say anything, but yes, she is.
Robin Sparkles was the Canadian treasure.
She's an icon. There's a difference between. All right, let's get to some current events. Let's get going, because we're running low on time. So let's get after it. Let's we all want to hear Chuck's opinion on some shit. So let's get after it.
So you got this, Toby. Run with it. It sounds like you're spun up.
All right, hey, let's talk about haircuts.
San Fran man goes and gets a haircut, and now it's the salon's problem, right? Is this the one we're talking about?
Yeah.
No, like you just started off like Letterkenny.
She's blaming the salon for releasing the video. That's like, and saying that that's a terrible thing. I'm like, that's like the FBI. Oh no. How did I put it? She said that salon owners should apologize to her. And I'm like, that's like every time the FBI rolls up a drug dealer and they roll over on the mafia boss. Yeah, they should make the drug dealer apologize to the mafia boss because they rolled up on him. I'm like, okay, look, you're going to make it illegal for people to do this, and then you're going to do it anyway? Fine. Okay, she got a haircut. She went to a salon that shouldn't. Does California have a fine for something like this? Or, is there a jail term that she might have to serve? Pretty obvious she went and broke the law. If it's a law and not a mandate or whatever, or does she just skate on it?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she
Yeah.
stayed on it.
since they're not laws
Yeah,
and they're
I
actually
mean,
illegal orders, they can probably just wave it off, just like all the artists
Yeah.
that came into New York and did the VMAs last weekend were given a waiver by the governor. They didn't have to quarantine like everyone else because they're coming in to do the award show, right?
Right.
So,
Well, it's one of those things. If the law is not going to apply to one, you can't apply it to anyone. So,
that's the other thing. Yeah, a lot of these things are, mandates versus laws, and a lot of them are unenforceable. But there's just an ounce of hypocrisy to it, and like
just a little.
But yeah, just an ounce, just eating.
well, just I mean,
a full shot glass, but like an ounce. Like
saying that
it was a strong pour.
Saying that that the salon owner owed her an apology was kind of just made me think of when Dick Cheney accidentally shot the guy in the face out dove hunting, and the guy apologized for being in the way.
You're not getting in the way of your shot there, Dick.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry I ruined your shot and you didn't get the doves, or quail or whatever it was. I'm sorry I moved my face in front of your shotgun. My bad. But it's like she apologized. She had the cameras in there. It wasn't like she set him up just for this or whatever. Obviously she knew she was coming. But
apparently it wasn't even the shop owner that did this. It was an independent contractor that had access to her shop.
Yep.
Which goes with the whole California independent contractor law with Uber and everything else that they're throwing.
The gig law.
Yeah. So this gig employee that was cutting hair was the one that Nancy contacted to do her hair.
Yeah, and she didn't get her hair cut. It was effective as of 1 September. So she waited till it was legal, I guess. But it was the whole blow drying and the whole, the whole mask thing and all that kind of stuff. It was just, it's a hypocrisy of anything, right?
She could get her hair done 6 times a day. It's still putting lipstick on a pig. It's putting a hairdo on the crypt keeper.
The only way it's going to look make her look any better is if she looks like Cousin It and it's all in front of her face. I'm just saying. I mean, that's it. So, I mean, is it surprise you, Chuck? I mean, the hypocrisy,
absolutely not.
Oh,
absolutely not. There's a class of politician in this country that believes they're royalty, and she's at the top of that class.
Right.
They flaunt laws. Everything from I can park wherever I want to regardless of what the sign says, to she was the one that 5-6 years ago was demanding Gulfstream to take her back and forth to California instead of flying commercial,
right.
And the DOD to pay for it and everything else, her own little Air Force One. That was the one with the $10,000 bar tab for every time she flew across the country.
Yeah. And we see what that's done to her. Yeah, exactly.
And so, she's absolutely in that, better, or what's okay for me is not okay for thee mentality.
So, I mean, we're going to spin into something else. Obviously, the violence, the riotings, the shootings, the Antifas. Now we have, people being shot that are counter protesting and stuff. And just, obviously you're not, thankfully Texas hasn't seen a lot of that since the terrible shooting of the 5 officers in Dallas, a while back. But, we're seeing it now in all these other areas. And just, I mean, any thoughts or really any opinion you have on that, Chuck, would just be enlightening.
Okay. Here's a great comparison. You get Portland. You get a bunch of people decide to block off however many blocks it was and create their own little socialist utopia that failed, like every other socialist utopia. But the police surrounded them and refused to go in and establish law and order. Right? And that turned out really well, right? People got shot, people got killed, buildings got burned. In Dallas, one guy starts shooting at a Black Lives Matter protest, kills 5 police. So they strap C4 to a robot, roll it up on homie, and blow him up.
The old parking garage.
That's the way that you do that. You don't stand back and say, well, let them protest, they'll get tired and go home. Right. If you want to protest, that's great. More power to you. You have a right to petition the government for redress of grievances, whether that's actually doing a petition or standing and waving a sign or beating a drum or whatever. You do not have a right to destroy property. You do not have a right to impede on other people's rights. And when you do that, it is incumbent upon the police to make that stop. And if they can't make it stop because they're underpowered or undermanned or understrength, then they have the right, or the police don't have the right, the police have the authority to call up the local militia, whomever that might be.
Right.
In Texas, it would be the sheriff saying, hey, y'all, grab your AR-15s and meet me at the square. We're setting up a posse. And you'd probably have like 300 dudes out there with AR-15s going, giddy up, let's go. In Portland, that'd probably be like 6 guys with mop handles with dildos on the end. But you get the idea.
There's probably an airsoft gun or two, at least an airsoft gun or two. I mean, you got to give them some.
Well, I mean, but basically what happened last week, and you were talking about, I don't want to get confused, but you were talking about the autonomous zone or CHOP or CHAZ, whatever it was in Seattle, but in Portland,
same thing. Seattle, Portland.
Yeah, so, yeah, they're pretty much interchangeable. You had the Patriot Prayer over the weekend, this past weekend, do a big drive-through. And, just, you can call it whatever you want. I've heard, I've watched Vice on it. I've watched, I've watched, left-leaning, I've watched right-leaning. But really what you had was a counter-protest. And,
well, it's Toby. Just real quick, what I heard was
you're allowed to do that.
What I heard, the guy was going back to his home. He lived in Portland. He was going back home. I don't know. That's what I heard. He was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So like, as let me progress real fastly, and driving the vehicles through, and then knowing that, and I'm pretty confident that maybe in downtown Austin something like this would possibly happen, but. I doubt it now after what happened a couple weeks ago here. Knowing that people are going to try and impede you and try and deter, like use their physical being to like try and take your freedom of maneuver, freedom of movement away. They had, less than lethal means, be it pepper spray, bear spray, paintballs, which I thought was cute. As a simple little deterrent, and there's a little bit of like on the ground clashing, but what you ended up having was a member of one side walking up, sneaking up, if you will, to a member of the other side and executing them.
Right.
And, like that's not a protest, like that is taking up arms against an enemy. That's murder. Like that is a felonious crime.
Well, it's not a protest if you're going out at 11 o'clock at night when you protest when businesses are open and you're disrupting that business or that government agency. You have an audience to make your voice known. If you're going out at 11 o'clock at night, you're not. There's no one to protest. Nothing is open. You're going out to destruct.
Well, yes, but in some of these cases, they're targeting residential areas and they're doing it, when they know people will be in that residence. And so, like, I'm not condoning what they're doing. I'm just like, I can see the methodology on it. I don't agree with it, but I can see it. I think it's ironic now that, the mayor of Portland, the guy that has let them do all this stuff, is now like complaining because they're protesting his house and shit. Which is hilarious.
Or the mayor of Chicago. Or all these other mayors.
Not on my street. You can protest anywhere but my street.
Good enough for you, but not for me. You can't come where I.
There was a haircut. Yeah.
But you can, you get a haircut. More lipstick on a pig on that too. But
no, the sadness is here in Texas. They were marching downtown, and they had some guys that were exercising their Second Amendment right, to openly carry, and thought that they were like, kind of Billy badasses because that's who they were acting the part of, and a car turned right onto a street, and they mobbed the car, and at first, apparently the guy thought one was law enforcement, went to roll down his window, and the dude put, made, barrel movement. And you realize, like, oh, this is not law enforcement. He just happened to be a soldier, and, like, plugged the dude, a couple of times, and then sped off, called 911, and turned himself in. No charges were laid because he didn't break any laws. There was a law broken there, though. The guy that was not killed, that was also at the scene with the long barrel, uh, upon his friend being shot, he shot into the shooter's car and the crowd, like undisciplined fire.
Unlike a
And he's
17-year-old in Wisconsin who had very disciplined fire.
right. We're getting to him because that kid's a stud.
Yeah.
The
I've been shot in the arm. Where's my GoFundMe?
Well, we can start one.
I'm gonna bring my arm back.
No, it's not. But, like, and there's this weird standard. People are like, well, that guy shouldn't. And there's this memorial downtown Austin. Like, we like, this guy was like Garrett Foster. He was like murdered. Like, no, bro. Like, you brought a gun to a gunfight, and you lost.
Came in second.
Which is better than bringing a skateboard to a gunfight. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you want to take the dirt nap challenge? Like, let's go.
And here's the thing: in both of those cases, in Portland, in Kenosha, and in
Austin.
In Austin, if you're wondering who the good guys were, who used their firearm and then called 911?
In both cases.
Yeah.
In both cases. If you're using a firearm for some reason and you're not willing to call the police about it, you're probably not the right person to be using that firearm, where you're not in the right.
Yeah.
If your idea of a protest is going and doing a midnight shopping spree at Target
after they're closed,
probably not a good protest. One of the neat things about protesting is that it serves two purposes, or it should. It should raise awareness to your cause and the unfairness of what's going on as it relates to your cause, and it should try to get people on your side.
Right.
So by looting and rioting and being violent and everything else, the people that you're not going to sway are that large section of middle America that pays their bills and pays their taxes and wants a better life and wants to live in their house with their kids and see them go off to college and everything else. You're not going to get them on your side. You're not going to get, that upper 1%, except for in Hollywood, because those people are all, let's face it, actors, great people, but those were the weird drama kids in high school, okay? They were the shoegazers. They were the art majors in college. Nobody liked them then. They don't know how to behave socially or appropriately. So they went to Hollywood. And that's why I don't listen to them on politics, except for maybe James Woods, just because he cracks me up. But the point is these protests even aren't drawing more people in. They're isolating a section of the population that's making a lot of noise, but it's not a growing movement.
We see that when it starts affecting polls, and it makes one political party start to actually talk about it because they're worried about their poll numbers slipping. Yeah,
no, like, just you brought up Hollywood. I'm going to bring up athletics. We're seeing, owners of athletic teams, putting out memorandums, internally and kind of in some cases saying publicly, our support of certain things is costing us money. And, like someone put that, post up in a hockey forum that I'm a member of, and I liked it. And all of a sudden, like I was the biggest racist, and it was almost entertaining about all the thread. And typically, like, I could give two shits about trolls, and I don't engage on any of that. But on this, I was just like, hey man, like you're calling me a racist because I liked an article. I'm just a fan of hockey. I really like hockey, and when I watch hockey, I, this sounds crazy. I'm watching it because I like the sport. Um, Not once going in my mind while I'm watching, a guy pass a puck from tape to tape is like, man, I really wonder what his position on the socioeconomic, development of, like, I don't give a shit what that dude thinks about that, because I'm not watching him to find out like how he feels about, like the pine beetle, in northern British Columbia. Like, that's not why I'm watching him. I'm watching him because I want to see his talent, his training, and his dedication to his sport, how it's developed and it culminated in this moment to play at a professional level. I'm not taking in, political advice from him, because that's not why I'm watching it. Just like I'm not watching actors portray a role, to like define my morality and to define, my character. I'm just being entertained. That's why I can watch a guy like that Shannon dude that was in 12 Strong, that hates the military. Like, he hates the military, but he plays a good one.
Yeah.
But I don't care that he hates the military, like, because that's not why I'm watching him. Like I don't care that that this guy feels like there's a disparagement in I understand in some cases, like I will support like the U.S. women's soccer team, not players on the team. I'll support the U.S. women's soccer team in their position that they don't get a fair shake of the money, and that's because they bring in 10 times the revenue of the men, and that's basic economics. If you are a better show on earth, like in my little town here, Georgetown, Texas, we have a really cool university. It's the oldest university in Texas. Shout out to the Southwestern Pirates. They don't have a football stadium. They've been runners up to the national championships in their division for the past 3 years. They don't have a football stadium. You know why? Because they borrowed the school districts. You know why? Because high school football is bigger than runner-up national championship team.
Oh yeah,
like,
you go by
guess who gets the better stadium?
Texas, and you swear you're going past a professional level.
Oh yeah.
Stadium. It's nuts.
Texas or a lot of places in the South. Friday Night Lights mean something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that's because they're a bigger revenue draw. Therefore, they get a better share of the thing. That's basic economics. So if the women's soccer team's a better revenue draw, well, then they should get a better share of the revenue. So I agree with them on that.
Okay, we got to
But outside
transition.
of that, yeah. But outside of that, like, I'm not looking at entertainers or athletes, for my morality.
Dance,
like,
monkey
and
boy,
think
just
that,
dance and entertain me, right? That's it.
And when they all decide to
that,
boycott, we're not going to play games because this happened or that happened, that impacts my life so much. I had to reach down.
Said no man ever.
Find something else to watch. I was watching ESPN The Ocho and cheering on, naked genitalia bungee jumping.
Yeah.
But hey, I can put a bet on it.
I didn't know that was a channel you had or anyone had. Oh, holy cow!
No, he's got Suddenlink. It's a real thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't realize Chuck was binge watching the Naked and Afraid.
Yeah.
But
that's a real show.
That is a real show.
I look at the Naked and Afraid and I'm like, they'd pair me up with somebody, and in like 3 days they'd either straighten out or there'd be a little human-sized roast over the fire.
they would see you, which Toby and I have seen next to a pool in Las Vegas. They would see you and probably see you naked and then be afraid. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm being honest, right?
It's a real fear. It's a real fear.
So let's talk about afraid part. We're gonna talk about this kid in Kenosha, Wisconsin, right? He's 17 years old. Another classic example of an event happening and everyone rushing to the microphone to give their speculation on the why, what, when, all that kind of stuff. Why was he there? What was he doing there? Where were his parents? How did he get a gun? It must have been illegal. He brought it across straight line. All this kind of stuff. He was down there looking for trouble. Oh, he hates black people and everything. And then, like we all know, first reports on the battlefield are always wrong, especially if the media is involved. Then it comes out he was down there. He was helping clean a high school that was defaced. He was out there giving first aid, medical aid to the protesters prior, once those videos got out. And then then we get all the video footage and the breakdown and seeing what this kid went through. And besides, whether on purpose or great luck, I mean, he had 3 effective shots on 3 targets, and without, spraying and praying, a whole bunch of innocent people, which most people probably would do unless they really trained. I mean, besides doing all that, he was, falling on the ground, getting beat with a skateboard, all this kind of stuff, and was still, after all that, walked to a police, line and was trying to give himself up. And we see all that, and you sit there and wonder 2 things. One, who's going to sign this kid up in their branch first? And 2, is the media ever going to pay attention to this again after the full stories come out? Because it looks like it really quieted down and has went nowhere.
Well, it quieted down and went nowhere because you know who his lawyer is, don't you?
No.
It's the guy that represented, what's his name, from the Covington High School.
Oh, it's the same lawyer.
Oh,
yeah. He stepped up and he said, hey, yeah, guess what? You and the Covington kid, you're going to own CNN by the end of the month.
Yeah.
So,
and he's going to own NBC.
Yeah, we best just shut up about this because we're going to get slammed again because he's a minor. And, we're saying all these terrible things about him that are obviously not being proven true and getting all this media hype. And now this lawyer steps in, that guy'd probably be one of the first people I'd call.
Yeah.
But as far as what he did, he went to a town that, quite honestly, I've driven farther to get in and out than this kid drove to get to Kenosha. But he didn't drive. His mom said, hop in the minivan. You got work tonight, or whatever it was. Where the rifle came from, who cares? He could have, because he was over the age of 16, gotten in a car, otherwise known as 2 tons of moving steel. If he wanted to do violence, he could have done it, the Charlotte way.
Right. And it's a long gun. It's a rifle, and it's not in the state of New York, so it's not or California, so it's not an evil thing. And you can buy it and make them and take them and hunt with them and do everything else you want. It's it was I didn't know he had that attorney, and obviously they've already set Sandman's already set that precedence of talk bad about a minor and see what happens. But it is interesting though that the like I say, that everything quieted down once the full story came out. It looked great initially if you spun the narrative correctly, but it is definitely, and it's been an unlimited provider of memes. I gotta say, it is. The memes are strong with that one, and But then you talked about earlier, Toby. We got the Patriot Prayer guy shot, and I watched that video. And if you watch that video close and blown up, I mean, you see the guy get popped right there, as clean as.
No, he gets domed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet the organization that he's supposedly with, well, I mean, it's been pretty much proven that he's with that organization, a part of that organization, hasn't turned him over.
Oh, the shooter. Yeah,
the shooter. And it goes right back to, the good guys after the shooting call the cops. The bad guys running hot.
Right.
Or they know they were wrong.
Or they curl up in a fetal position and cry like a baby, apparently. We heard about that too.
And ask for their mom, yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but that it's coming to this. But it's being fueled. And it's the recklessness of the media, not hearing the full story, trying to get everyone, into a fervor and, get them like wound up to react. And it's like, I just watched I was talking with some law enforcement guys, and I watched the body cam of the kid that got shot in DC yesterday. And, like, hey, like the cop did, what he was supposed to do. It's unfortunate. Like it happens, but people like are rushing, and the media is like, hey, this is, another one, like Jacob Blake or whatever.
Well, dude, we can take it to
however many times.
We can take it to George Floyd. We can take it to George Floyd. Yeah. The autopsy now shows there were no bruising on the neck, no breaks in the neck. There was none of that stuff. And now new video shows the knee coming off repeatedly. That the cop continually brings his knee up.
He couldn't breathe because he was overdosing on fentanyl.
But the narrative's been set. and it's been established, and
Oh yeah,
that
we have the George
cornerstone.
Floyd parade of bodies.
Right.
We're going to give 9 funerals, and nobody got COVID from those either.
The cornerstone's
Yeah.
been set, and it's not
The
moving. Right.
I don't know anything about like the new like the footage and stuff like that, so I don't want to speak to that. But like I will agree, like that cop probably not the best example of law enforcement. However, like we celebritize not a good person. Like I'm not taking away from his death, and I'm not making a statement about his death. What I'm saying is, we as a nation, as a society, as a community, celebritize this guy. We brought in national leaders to speak on his behalf,
or give his family a flag, a folded flag.
I guarantee, like when Chuck, finally, is too ornery for this planet. A guy that's given, and I'm not going to put his business out there, but I'm saying like he's given, something pretty substantial for this country, for the cause of freedom. And I'm not just talking fingers. I'm talking like this dude's made a real sacrifice.
I just like that you called it pretty substantial.
I know that. I saw you smile. You smiled way too much there.
But a national leader isn't going to come out and speak about the contributions that he made in terms of leadership, and is not going to make statements about the contribution. You're going to be eulogized by probably a brother that loved you dearly and is going to do you a great service, and is going to talk about the good things, but you're not going to get national attention. And you're a good guy, you're a good dad, you've done good things, you've helped thousands of people. I've witnessed it firsthand, and you're continuing to do it. Like the 58 dogs that are in the lives of these people, like we'll go ahead and say 59 because the Gold Star family as well. 60 if you want to talk about that dog putting in work, smelling out explosives. Like you're not getting celebritized like that. This dude is getting celebritized. This Jacob Blake guy, like they were responding to a domestic violence call, and everyone's like, "Oh, you got shot in the back." Like, dude was
Any
a
cop
piece
will
of
tell you
shit.
domestic violence call is the most dangerous call you can go to.
Yes,
absolutely. You want to go back to the original hands up, don't shoot. Like they celebritize and this isn't a Robin Hood moment. We're putting our love, our support, and our faith in the wrong people. Like we need to get back to I'm not saying Audie Murphy because we don't need to get back to that. What we need to get back to is looking around our community and being like, hey, this guy's a good guy. He's a good dad. Like when you think of his dash, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago. It's like, man, I don't want anyone to ever say, well, Toby, he was a all right white guy. No, I want you to say oh, he was a dad. He was a brother. He was a husband. Talk about actual good things. And we need to celebritize people that do that well, and not turn around and take a guy that doesn't deserve that kind of support and make GoFundMe's for him. Like the guy that's getting that GoFundMe because he got his arm damaged a little bit. The convict that was illegally carrying a gun that tried to execute someone in the street.
And I heard it was a high. And I heard it was a high point. I heard it was a high point too. So I mean, just wouldn't even. Can't get a gun
pistol. Not bad for chalk blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I digress. I know we've been running late.
No, I mean you're absolutely right, Toby. We do throw celebrity at the wrong people, and it would certainly be nice if news focused on the best of us instead of the worst of us.
Right.
Yeah. But it doesn't because it goes back to if it bleeds, it leads, and in a 24-hour news cycle with competing ratings and everything else. Especially with things like CNN's ratings just falling farther and farther and farther every day to where there's I think 8 people now that watch CNN, and that's just for the memes. They have to try and keep that Howard Stern shock jock level of entertainment or infotainment going. And so, yeah, okay, if George Floyd never should have been national news.
No.
It was a very, and that's why it shocked me when that happened. And then, a day or two later, there's protests in another city and protests in another city. I'm like, why are you guys, if anything, it's an issue between the people and the police in that city. And then it grew like the Me Too movement.
Yeah, it became an excuse and a medium for which people could just cause anarchy and riot and all this stuff. I was just talking to somebody the other day. If you don't want, if the Black Lives Matter, the true Black Lives Matter that wants to bring awareness to what they feel are racial injustices and what they see as racial injustices by law enforcement or anybody, if you want to do that, then you need to denounce and get rid of the Antifas. And when you see a Black Lives Matter protest or any kind of protest that's supposedly tied to that, and it is about 98% white, young, early 20s, late teens people, and they're rioting and doing all that stuff. If you want your message to come across and you want to be taken seriously and be vindicated and validated, then get rid of them, right? March out there, and we saw that with a lot of those protests. Up front, they were marching during the daytime. They were making a statement. We saw it across the country, regardless of why they did it, whether it's because George Floyd or whatever. But they were saying, hey, we're sick and tired of it. Okay, cool. Right? You filed permits, you're doing it legally, you're not damaging, you're not jumping on cars. But when you start seeing these, and we heard about it during the last several months, when that crew was leaving and this no new crew was coming in all dressed in black and this and coming with bricks and bats, they need to police that up. If you want to be taken serious, because we've talked about it on the show, for the little while after George Floyd, what we saw on the news at that point, this world, not even this country, came together and said that doesn't look right. That was wrong. It didn't matter what color or what ballot you cast. Everyone came together and said that was pretty messed up. That cop shouldn't have done that based on what we knew at the time, right? That was all lost within a week when all this rioting and stuff. The people were like, I can get behind that was a bad thing and we need to correct it and hold people accountable. I can't get behind running in and having your friend pull up in a car and you're coming out of the Target with a 72-inch TV, or you're stealing a cheesecake from the freaking Cheesecake Factory. It doesn't matter what it is, right? That's not honoring him. That's not doing any of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, but free cheesecake.
Yeah. I mean, it's expensive. It's good cheesecake.
It's not even good.
You're running through smoke and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I mean, it's just, Martin Luther King, everyone loves to talk about, and obviously he was a great leader and a great, fat part of the fabric of this country. But, he would not have done that. And we saw that when they marched arm in arm and they got hit with hoses and they got beat down and they got stuff, they didn't riot back. They turned the other cheek. They did it and they got back up and they marched again. And they did it enough where they realized, okay, this, being violent towards these protesters isn't going to do it, right? That's what caused the change. That would, if they would have taken that in the 60s and acted like some people are acting now, there would not have been that movement.
Right. Well, in the 60s, they turned fire hoses and attack dogs on the peaceful protesters, and,
right.
and those are snapshots from Time and Life magazine that this was happening, and that woke up a generation that this isn't right.
Right.
And the way they're acting now, that same generation is saying, "Hey, don't we have some fire hoses and dogs laying around here somewhere?" Because those folks need a bath, and it's time. We got to clean up our act. Either the government has to clean it up, or eventually it's going to be a clash of two personalities, or two not. Well,
we're seeing it now, right? We're starting to see
clash
people.
Of two societies.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I want to add to what you just said on that, Chuck. And what I want to add is, while they were peacefully protesting, during the civil rights movement, because they had a real reason, they had a true grievance, they did it right, and the system, was used against them, the fire hoses, the dogs. But when they marched, and this is what I want to add to what you said, when they marched, they had a destination. They weren't mindlessly going around trying to create chaos. They had a movement. And when I say movement, you and I all automatically, and Troy obviously automatically think movement is, what you do to get from point A to point B. You're not just flailing and you're not just floating rudderlessly. Like there was a movement and they had a destination and they had a cause. And when they were going across that bridge in Selma, they were going to a destination. They weren't just making a statement. They were going to a destination. They were doing it peacefully and they were doing it for cause. And when they went to these places to do this, they did it peacefully, but they did it with an end goal in mind. What's happening right now, there is no end goal. And if you think like that you're going to dethrone, the king that you think is the president, or you think you're going to impeach the president, or you think that you're going to like
defund all the police,
you're going to defund the police. Like if you think like that's not an agent of change. That's just an agent. And but they had a purpose, they had a destination, and that's why they were successful. What's happening right now?
And they a lot of times made the protest match what was being what was unfair about their life. For instance, the bus protest in oh my gosh,
it's Selma, right? Yeah,
Selma. Yeah, we're not going to use public transportation because we're not treated fairly on public transportation. That shut public transportation down because they were a majority of the passengers.
Right. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the bus union's like, hey, wait a minute, Mayor, you got to do something about this.
Right.
And it was not cancel culture where this person liked to tweet 8 years ago, so we need to get them, fired from their job and make them unemployable. This is a real thing that's happening to a group of people right now, and we're going to do something about it peacefully.
Right. Yeah. If you don't say what I want you to say, I'm going to scream at you through this megaphone with these other 50 people.
Right.
And think that that's going to change your mind.
It's not even action by the majority. It's action by the loudest at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's just shouting.
Yeah. I'm going to shout it from the rooftops. I'm going to shout it in your face. I'm going to scream in your windows.
I'm going to call your employer. I'm going to, it's going to be all that.
That's one of the nice things about working for myself is I can say things like, if a group of people I don't know show up at my house in the middle of the night, and I live out in rural Texas, and they start yelling and screaming and shining lights in my windows, I'm going to shoot them. Yeah. And I'm going to call the sheriff, and I'm going to say, hey, I just shot 9 people that were rioting outside my home. And he's going to say, what caliber did you use? Cool. Can I see your gun? Which one did you use this time?
Like, is your tax stamp current?
Yes. Is the
did they breach the minefield?
No, they didn't even hit the claymores. They didn't even hit them. Speaking of shooting, I know you've had not everything is perfect in Texas. There's a few people on all sides. You've been tactfully dealing with the neighbor, I understand, and trying to help re-educate them on the safety and freedoms and rights that we have. Is that going well? You don't have to go into the details. Is that going well?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going really, really well.
Good.
She doesn't bother me anymore.
See, there's a problem, solution, problem solved, problem staying solved. Yeah. That's
exactly.
It. Well, good.
No, she and I have come to an agreement, and she actually apologized.
Civil discussion. That's it, right? We work it out.
Adulthood.
Yes, adulthood. That's it. Good. Good.
I won't do too much shooting before dawn anymore, and probably won't use smoke as much as I used to, or create other battlefield effects. But
yeah, hold down on the tanninite just a little bit. But
it's got a pneumatic going off. Go.
Yeah, but we're good.
That's what I need to do. One of those propane 50 cals.
Yes, that's it.
The old pneumatics. Yeah.
Well, Chuck, thank you so much, man. You gave us a short notice, gave us a lot of time. We've had you on for a while tonight. Thank you for coming on. We wanted to definitely, it's been a while since we had you on. We love Hero Labradors. It was great for you to kind of just refresh our listeners and viewers with what you do. And how can people, where can they find you? How can they help? Let's make sure we get that plug in there.
The easiest way is Hero Labradors, HeroLabradors.org. We have a donate page there. There's several different ways that they can contribute. You can find us on Amazon Smile. which doesn't give us a whole lot, but hey, it's something.
I do my best to make sure you get as much as you can through that. Trust me.
We got a new thing in the works where we might start. You know, how you can round up your purchase at some stores and things like that, and that money goes to a nonprofit. We're looking into doing stuff like that, but we're also Hero Labradors on PayPal, and if you want, you know, you can find my personal cell number on the HeroLabradors.org website, and I'll walk you through any one of the dozen ways to give.
Awesome. Well, we encourage everyone to go check it out. I mean, definitely tune into your Facebook page and like it, because you got to, you know, about a couple of months from now, we'll be able to get puppy cams again. Of course, you can go back and look at the old ones. And
if you've seen this lab, it's over here by my feet. Great. This is the girl that is next up in the breeding box. So
who's that?
That's Grace. She's
Okay.
actually the one that had puppies last time, our last litter, but the other two girls took a break because they've needed it, and so she's next.
Only so much loving can go around there. So
This is Dobby. She loves me. It's total Stockholm syndrome with her.
Well, you bring her boyfriend every couple months, and you know, whatever. But they're awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much
living her best life.
That's it.
Yep.
Thank you for coming on. We got the link up in the chat, and good having you on. Good to see you, brother. It's been a while. I'll be looking for you to come back up here near the Northern Studio anytime. You're welcomed here, and you know, we'll put a feed on for you like we did last time for sure.
You gotta talk to your governor, because I think if I come into New York with Texas plates, we're gonna have to do some Smokey and the Bandit kind of stuff.
Yeah, you may need those. We may need that smoke and tanninite then. Yeah. But well, good, man. Well, hey, Chuck, thank you so much, buddy, and thank you for giving us your evening. Appreciate it.
No problem. You take care.
All right, bud. You too. Have a good one.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks. See you, Toby.
All right, everybody. There you go. That's Mr. Chuck Ziegenfuss, HeroLabradors.org, O-R-G. Check them out, and make sure you give them a drop my bone or two, and I keep him on my Amazon Smile. I do my best to throw as much I can his way. So, Toby, can you do me a favor so I don't have to readjust video? Can you just shift a little bit to your right, just a hair, and just that way you can be there. We go. At least I got you mostly in video there. Otherwise I got to try to readjust everything. I know we're about to wrap, so.
Yeah, no worries. It's always great to have, you know, guys like Chuck on. It was great that he was able to hop on. You know, everyone, you know, that you hear all these talking heads right now asking like, oh, you know, what's so-and-so's plan for this? What's so-and-so's plan for that? Hey, you know what? The plan starts with you. Be a better human. Be a better person.
Yeah.
Like don't put yourself in, you know, like this Kyle kid, you know, like I'm not mad about what he did, you know, but you know, hey, you don't want to get mixed up in that kind of stuff. Don't go to that kind of stuff. You don't want to get, you know, pepper sprayed by the cops. Find a better way to protest. You don't want to, you know, be treated like a racist. Don't do racist things. Be a better human. You know, It's so simple. You know, like it doesn't matter what the president of the United States plan is for this. It should be, what's your plan? We're the prime minister of Canada. It should be your plan. And the plan should be to be a better person.
Start it in your house, right? Start it in your kingdom.
Yeah,
Start it in your house, and
yeah,
let your sphere of influence impact others.
Yeah, your home is the most important ministry. You know, get after it. Big shout out to my daughter, love her. You know, Scarlett. You know, just big shout out to her tonight.
Awesome, yeah. Big shout out to Scarlett. This one's out for her tonight. Hope all's going well with everyone. September 3rd, my brother and everyone, we are winding down on the back half of this year, and I think I had a buddy of mine tell me today he needs to get a new vehicle. He said, I am not buying a 2020. He said, I got to wait till 2021 to come out. He goes,
you know, it's a lemon.
like, I'm not buying it.
There's a lemon law, and then there's going to be a 2020 law.
Mad Dog's got to change their name, man. They're like Corona. They got to change their. No one's going to want to buy Mad Dog 2020. They're going to call it something else.
Mad Dog is living up to its title.
Not that anyone should want to buy Mad Dog 2020, but either way. Yeah. So, anyways,
it wrecks you at a very low price.
It does, and usually at a very young
it's
age.
Aptly named.
Yes, that's it. And you should not be drinking that if you're over the age, like the drinking age. You shouldn't even be drinking it at that age. But anyways, good seeing you tonight, brother. Thanks for Chuck for coming on. Thank you for everybody for tuning in and having us in your homes and in your ears. And we hope everybody stays safe. Keep an eye on our Instagram, all of our socials, Facebook, all those good things, Twitter, and we'll see where it goes. Toby, you got any final words?
No, that's it. I'm out.
All right, buddy. Everyone have a good night. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stu and the Nunn Show, and we hope you had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewandthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.